Hello, everyone. My name is Chloe Caron. I'm a PCC executive coach, ICF PCC coach. I'm so excited to see you all on this Monday for such an important topic, for many reasons, because today's topic is unleashing your full potential, overcoming anxiety. Okay, overcoming anxiety for peak performance, fulfillment, leadership. We could have added many other words, but the importance of us navigating with anxiety, with stress, in order to find our peace, to find our energy, our fulfillment, our leadership, in order to better navigate in our life. That's the goal for us in the next 30 minutes. I know it's a big topic for 30 minutes, but it's such an important one. Actually, if you have not invited someone to join you for this conversation, someone perhaps that feels anxious, that you know are experiencing anxiety, either at work or home, please take a few seconds and invite them for this conversation. You can always also share that afterwards, but let's make sure that we're many to have this conversation. And the reason why I felt important for me to address this conversation with you today is that in all of the work that I do, whether with teams, whether with executives, whether with newer manager, there's always an aspect of anxiety, of stress, of desire to be perfect. Perfectionism is a big cause for anxiety. And so I just want to make sure that I provide you with the tools that can really help you. And throughout our conversation, first of all, please write in the chat why you're here, why this topic was important for you, whether it was for you personally or for people in your environment, and click here to get our tools, our many tools that can support you in many different topics. Also, click like often during our conversation, because it keeps me pertinent. It keeps our conversations alive. Here's our menu for today. Okay, first of all, recognizing anxiety and stress, understanding what's going on and really understanding its impact, because you might know you're experiencing anxiety and you might know some of the limitations of it or some parts of the impact that it has in your life. But do you really understand the whole era of impact so that you can make better choices? And that is where I want to support with 4 strategies for overcoming. There's a ever coming. No, we don't want to ever coming. We want to overcome anxiety. And we'll focus especially on 2. I'll tell you what they are. And if there's someone that want to share their experiences and want some coaching, I'd be happy to do that. And we're going to end with some commitment. So please write in the chat why you're here, what's motivating you for being here for this conversation. Okay, what is anxiety? What is anxiety? You've got the definition here. It's a natural response to stress, actually. So if we were never anxious or never stressed, even more so in this case, in situations that could be dangerous. And the definition of danger, obviously, in 2024 is very different than many thousands years ago. But still, if we were never anxious or nervous as our hand, for example, approaches something that is really hot, like fire, then we would know and we would burn ourselves. Literally and obviously metamorphically. And so we want to make sure that we understand stress and anxiety and that we keep it in really positive situations such as danger, but that we do not live in anxiety all of the time. That's not a way to live a fulfilling life. To the contrary, it really hinders peak performance, fulfillment, and effective leadership. Okay, so we want tools to make sure that we don't stay there. 33%, so 1 out of 3 adults is experiencing anxiety. That's too many people. That's too many people that are needing to cope with those emotions and spending energy in a way that stops them from really, really focusing on what really matters. Okay. So here are some of the symptoms, if you will, or how it manifests. There's four different ways to experience anxiety. I want you to tell me, how are you experiencing anxiety? What is it? Physical? Is it, are you recognizing yourself in the cognitive symptoms, emotional symptoms, behavioral symptoms? And let's pick a few for each of these four categories, because you'll see very quickly that they are stopping you from expressing who you are fully in your leadership and living a fulfilled life. Okay, so let's take one physically. You're sweating and feeling clammy, your muscle or you're trembling, or you have headaches, or you've got such a big ball at the bottom of your stomach that you can't speak. Cognitive, you see that. Perfectionism is one I see often. I will see people, and I have to say, especially women, unfortunately, that will redo their work. They will spend an extra hour on their work to make sure it's perfect, when in fact, you know what? It was good enough before, and they could use that time for something else. They're not doing that. They're overworking, over spending energy thinking about, am I doing the right thing? Is it really what I should be doing? And really creating doubts. And that is a break to your energy. It's like you're on first gear in your car, but you still have your foot on the brake, and it really stops you from being in the flow and using your energy to move forward. On the contrary, you're really you're standing still. Emotionally, there's a lot of emotions that you can experience, obviously, from intense fear and panic. We see that anxiety, panic attacks, difficulty controlling your emotions, being too emotional, being aggressive, feeling the desire to hide yourself. So there's many different emotions, and you might experience it in a different way than someone beside you. But all of these emotions that are not calm, peace, satisfaction, fulfillment are birthed in fear, and anxiety, as you will see, is a reflection of the fear that we have of not being enough and really looking into the future. We'll get into that in a second. The one category that really appeals to me is the behavioral symptoms. Obviously, as a coach, that's where I really want to make sure that I support my clients and all of the rest, but definitely there. So we see behaviors of avoidance. So people won't address things, they won't go to places, they won't have conversations, they'll seek validation. You don't, attend to a task that you have because it feels so big, it feels just so big, and you don't want to attend to that task. You feel irritated, you feel like you want to you want to scream, you don't agree, you don't feel good, you feel out of yourself. And sometimes you've got compulsive behaviors and whatnot, and it can go up to, obviously, substance abuse, because there's too much anxiety, you need to deal with it. All of these behaviors have a huge impact. And I'm curious, okay, if you want to write in the chat, what is, out of these three impacts, what is for you the biggest impact that you experience? Is it a nuisance, an impaired performance and productivity, or does it impact your personal relationship? Or is it physical, like you're more tired, you have less energy? What is it that anxiety creates for you in terms of impact in your life? I can tell you it impacts all of these aspects if you experience anxiety on a regular basis. And you want to be able to to really find tools. And here are the four tools that I'm proposing, four strategies. We will focus today on the first two because I feel these are, I mean, seeking support, that's a no-brainer. If you don't have a coach, a therapist, a friend, somebody you can talk to, and other tools as support, then obviously you might want to check that out. But that's kind of a no-brainer. You know, there are people here to support, and that's external to you. But obviously, the desire to connect and seek support, that starts from you. Cultivating resilience, obviously, and we'll address it. You will see in a couple of seconds, but really the first two ones is where I want to focus. Identifying your triggers and being in the now is really, really where I feel you're going to gain a lot from this conversation. Here are some of the triggers. And please notice that you can have external triggers and internal triggers. These are all internal triggers. Why did I not put the external triggers? Because really what I want out of this conversation is to provide you the tools to navigate, to manage, to overcome your anxiety. And external triggers, although really important for you to notice them, it's also easy for us to say, oh, that's what triggers my anxiety, and never take full accountability for what we can do in that situation. So I'm not saying external triggers do not exist. I'm not saying they're not important. I'm not saying you shouldn't know them. To the contrary. But what I'm hoping out of this conversation is that the more you know your internal triggers, the more you can create a new meaning to them, And we'll get to that in just a second. Keep that in mind, the meaning we give events. 4 tips to for being and staying in the now, okay? Only now exists. Yesterday is no longer yesterday. It's it was today when yesterday was today, but now it's yesterday. So it's not now. Tomorrow's the same. Being in the now is the only thing that really prevents anxiety, and not looking for perfection, but rather aiming for progression. And that's the resilience part. That's the growth part. That's really us understanding that if we get excited about progression and not so much focused on being perfect, we alleviate a lot of the stress and the anxiety. And celebrating your success, really powerful tool. So only now exists. You could hear that. Only now exists. This moment is the only moment that exists. So when we actually live in the future, that is where we experience anxiety. And let me go over that. So events do not have a meaning per se, okay? Something happens, there's no meaning to that event until we add our own perspective. We put on our glasses and we add our meaning to that event. My husband comes late. That's just facts. I can give it a meaning like, oh, he's been working hard. He's invested in his work. He wants to succeed. He wants to be successful because he wants to support us. He wants to be proud. Or I can say, oh, my husband is late. He never comes home on time. He doesn't care for us. Same situation, same event, and I'm applying two different meanings to that. That's true in work, in our personal life. And so until we've given that event a meaning, there's no meaning to that event. And so see how your internal triggers create your experience of life. And so anxiety is really our glasses out into the future and creating a story around what that future is going to be. Same thing with emotions like regret. Those are a reflection of our glasses looking at the past and putting a meaning to the past. but they're never the now. They're not in the moment. Can you start to notice that if you're here watching and listening this, you definitely are not under any danger. And actually, let me ask you this. When was the last time you were in danger, real danger? When was that the last time? I can't remember myself when that was the case, if ever that was the case. Well, I did parachuting once, so I would say that's probably the most dangerous thing that I've done. But you know what I mean? Like real danger. There's no real danger unless, and if you're here, there's no real danger in your life. If you're here listening to this, it means that you've got a roof, you've got, something to eat, you're good. You're good. Okay. So there's no current urgency or danger in your life. And so if you truly embrace that and say, okay, I'm here, I'm present, this is the moment, this is me in this moment, then you can choose your interpretation, your story, the meaning you want to give what's going on right now. I can tell you that the very few moments where I feel anxious, it's because I'm looking at my life as a bulk. I'm looking at everything I need to do as a bulk and not bringing it back to the present moment of what do I need to do right now to better prepare for what's coming up. And actually recognizing that the best thing I can do is be kind to myself and not add to the story, not add to, oh my God, I'm not going to have enough time. Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be good enough? Is it going to be impactful enough? Whatnot. And to actually come back to what excites me about what I do. What excites me about what I do. These are three words that are really, really, really powerful. So rather than saying I have to, because that's a lot of the anxiety, I have to, I must, I need to be perfect, even though you might not use the exact words, I need to be perfect. But what happens if I don't perform? What happens if I'm not good enough? What happens if I don't get to do A, B, C? Those are all words that are putting a lot of pressure on what we're doing and removing the excitement and removing why we want to do what we want to do. And so, if you're able to look at what perhaps could stress you and say, you know what, I'm so excited about being able to be here with you today and have this conversation with you. I'm so excited that I get to impact the lives of so many people within one day. Imagine that compounded every week, compounded every month, compounded for the past 10 years. It's been 10 years that I've been doing this as a professional coach. And imagine how powerful the impact that I've had over the past 10 years. When I anchor myself in my mission, in my purpose, in my why, in what really gets me excited about this, then I forget about anxiety because I'm no longer in a fixed mindset. I'm in a growth mindset. I'm looking for progression, not perfection. I'm looking to learn. I'm looking to contribute. I'm looking to make it better. I'm looking to improve. All of this, all of these words are a reflection of the power of not yet. As soon as you put a fixed objective and a kind of a square in which you need to fit in, that's where you experience anxiety. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Objectives are great. Targets are great. KPIs are great. But if you put so much pressure that it needs to fit this little square, you're not giving you're not giving yourself a chance to really embrace what could be in the pursuit of that objective, which is the whole thing. That's the whole game. is what you become in the pursuit of that objective. So the power of not yet, oh, I've not yet achieved that objective, but I'm working on it and I'm having fun, I'm excited about it. It creates so much more energy that you actually become more performing. And when I use the word performing, I use it both professionally and personally. You're performing in your relationships, meaning you're more present, you're more in tune with the conversations you're having with the person in front of you. You're being in the flow. So you're allowing yourself to really experience a life of full power, your life. And those are the tools to really help you be in the moment and experience life as a progression. Again, not a perfection. And if you're going to do all of this, be in the moment, allowing yourself to be excited about what you're doing and what is coming up, then you get to be in the progression mindset and you get to also celebrate what you've experienced. This is probably one of the most powerful tool that I use with my team. Every Friday morning, we get together and we talk about celebrations that we create, either by working together with our clients, the impact that we have, and that really fuels our energy to do more and to not be in anxiety or stress, but rather in a contribution mindset. And so when I ask my clients to actually say what their celebrations are or write it down, it's really interesting what happens, because initially it starts with, I don't know what I could celebrate, because in their mind, they expect that celebration to be so big that they can't think of something that could be to that level. But when in fact you're celebrating the smallest things, like I woke up this morning, I went walking, I did my treadmill this morning as I was preparing for a session, and I just went walking before this. That for me is a fantastic celebration. I had this session I was talking to you about this morning. We had great conversation. I was present, and I think I allowed the group to really explore their posture in a really different lens. And they all said, coming out, I have now new glasses. What else could I expect more? Did I change a whole organization? No, I did that over the course of a couple of months, but it takes time for me to celebrate that big thing. But if I notice every time I have a session and the impact it has, then I can build off of that impact that I'm having, and it fuels my energy so I can actually do more of that. Are you starting to see how anxiety can really stop you from being in your flow, in your full power, in your full potential, and really stops you from living a fulfilled life professionally and personally? And so, my invitation for you is to take only one of these four tips, only one. Okay, let me go back actually to that slide here. What will you take? What will you take on? What's your commitment? What's your commitment to really kind of anchor yourself in that next action, next mindset or posture or belief or lens glasses, and really want to apply it to your day-to-day life? So I'll give you an example. Will you say, okay, I'm going to be more mindful as to what is currently happening and be in the now? I won't talk and think too much about the past, nor will I do the future. I'll be in the moment. And so as you're going your day, you're going to say, okay, I'm in the moment. What's happening in the moment? What's going on? And you'll notice things that are stressing you out in the moment, and you'll notice that if you just start to breathe, you know what? It's not perhaps as big a thing as you might thought it be. So that's one example. The other thing you could say is, you know what? I'm going to stop overworking and really aim for progression and see that, you know what? I've invested X amount of hours. It's 90% good, 80%, 70% good, depends on what you're working on and what you're doing. It's good enough. And I'm going to notice when I want to work more, and I'll make perhaps that's that choice of saying, you know what? It might be just okay for me to stop here and go for a walk or go for a meditation or have a really deep conversation with my spouse or with my kids. So, what are you committing to doing or just seeing in a different light so that you can really manage your anxiety and actually be so much so in the present, in the celebration, in the appreciation of your contribution and the progression you're making, that there's no reason for you to feel anxiety, that there's really no reason for you to be stressed, but rather being really proactive and accountable in your life. So please, please let me go back to the end so that we can actually, you can actually take a picture of this and go on the link here and take advantage of all of the tools that we have, all of our programs, all of the articles, the blogs, the podcast, the books that we have that I have on the website, and please click like, thumbs up, love it, a comment, so that we keep this going every Monday or every 2 Monday, I should say, so that we're still pertinent in that we bring out the impact that we want to have to more and more and more people. With that, I really wish a fantastic, fantastic day to all of you. I look forward to seeing you soon and speak to you soon.